Hey guys, Rod here with VML Sports Cards. I wanted to share with you a couple of recent eBay pickups that I had that I made mistakes on, and because I made these mistakes, I'm trying to learn from them, and want to give you guys a couple of tips also when you're out there so that you don't make the same mistakes as me. So I'm gonna get right into it. I'm gonna switch this camera. All right, so the first one I'm gonna go over is this card right here was shipped in a plain white envelope, as you see here, pretty standard. It's really a great feature that eBay has now with these standard envelopes, but there's also a con to it as well. I think it's good because it saves on shipping costs, especially if you're buying lower cost cards. The problem is there's no guarantee what the condition is going to be. I mean, there's a good chance that these go through a machine over at the Postal Service, and in this particular case, I'm going to pull this out. So I've been really collecting a lot of Kobe stuff lately, and you can see here, these are a really cool card. Now, it's a card, it's not even really a card, it's called Power Deck, and essentially it's like a CD-ROM. So if you look here, it actually has, the details on what is required for this to run properly. It's got QuickTime, it's got all sorts of things that, if you're old school like me, then you probably remember, your minimum processing speeds and RAM available that's required. Now, as you can see here, it's more evident on the back, this thing is cracked. This was not like that in the photos initially. When I looked at the card, and even if you look at the front here, you can see a pretty big hairline crack here, as well as one just underneath the Lakers right here. This was pretty disappointing. This card was like 12 bucks, and I was really excited to get it. And, it was shipped poorly, it was wrapped poorly. My tip here is that if you see cheaper shipping, in this case, it was 75 cents what the guy charged. That's reasonable. I totally get that's totally fine. But in this particular case, I was buying an item that I should have thought twice about, right? If it's going to get shipped, plain white envelope. Now, I didn't specify plain white envelope. I'm just assuming that, maybe he wants to try to make it more attractive by offering lower shipping. Nonetheless, this is how the card came. Honestly, the guy was really nice. I took some photos, sent it to him, and he was able to he apologized. I went ahead and refunded the amount, and I get to keep the card. Now, again, the problem with it is I have a cracked card, which sucks because that's ultimately like I was willing to pay for this in the condition that I had seen it, and now I just have a card that is messed up. So not sure what I'll do with it. I mean, I guess I'll keep it, but obviously it's really not worth as much and not as a collectible of an item. So that's the first tip. Is if you find something plain white envelope, be mindful of what you're buying, and maybe see what other items are out there. If I had thought in more depth, I probably would have reconsidered bidding on the item. All right, so my next item is a graded card. It's graded a 10, a Gem Mint 10 by Gem Grading Incorporated. Now this guy's got a bunch of cards that I see online that he's selling for what seems to be very reasonable prices, especially considering the condition of the cards. I inspected the card from the photos. From what I could see, it seems like it's in pretty good shape. I'm always looking at the corners, the centering, things like that, and it looks like, hey, you know what, this must be legit. Now, I was negotiating with the seller. I think initially he was trying to sell it for like 100 or 110. We agreed at 70, and the card came out. I think the total was like 80 bucks, including shipping costs. It got over to me, and somewhere between when the card was shipped and I had already paid for it to when it arrived, I just started doing a little bit of digging about gem grading. I should have done this beforehand. That's my first tip: is do your research on grading. If you plan on keeping the card, do your research on the company or the grading company that's handling it. So in this case, like I said, gemgrading.net. This website does not exist. I couldn't even figure out where it was. It just goes. It's just a dead link. It's a dead link. And the other thing I read on a couple of different forums was that there's a tendency for a lot of these cards to get trimmed. And I was like, you know what? Let me just, I'd already committed, so hey, let's just see how it goes. And so what I did, the first thing I did once it arrived in the mail a couple of days later is this is obviously it's LeBron James rookie orientation. It's a really nice sort of a foil set for the rookies that year. I have a couple of Dwayne Wades. This would be my first LeBron. So I was like, let me compare the sizes between the two. Now, it may be hard for me to kind of get the camera on it, but if you see there, okay, if I align properly the very top of the card, just like this, and then you kind of compare it to the bottom, you can see that the LeBron card is shorter. You can see that it's shorter, and basically what I have here is a card that's been encapsulated that has already been trimmed. And I don't know whether the seller did this or not himself. I'm not really sure. I know they're from Indiana. That's what some people were saying on some different forums, that that's what this guy does. Nonetheless, he's got like 99% positive reviews, and he probably has, you know, tens of thousands of positive reviews. I mean, that's still generally fairly confident. It makes me feel confident. But long story short, I did go ahead and request a refund. He went ahead and honored it as long as I shipped the card back, and he's paying for shipping as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So, you know, a pro and a con to this. You know, if you don't care about your card and you want a card that's encapsulated and that some company says is a Gem 10, that's fine. But if not, you know, like in this case, I was considering cracking the case and sending it into PSA. I'll be getting that card right back and having it say, you know, not authentic and trimmed. So in this case, it was trimmed. So that was unfortunate, really disappointing. But nonetheless, at least I'm in a situation where the guy is going to cover shipping for me and refund me in full once I send it back. Anyways, so that's pretty much all I got for you guys. I hope you guys don't make the same mistakes as me, and if you do, hopefully you're in a situation where you're not losing too much money, or you have a seller that's gonna be very reasonable and just try to work with you. But definitely, by all means, you know, do your research when you're looking at these cars as well as these sellers to make sure you're buying the right stuff. Y'all have a great one. I hope to see you soon. I hope to have less of a gap between each of my videos. And actually, I just got a PSA lot back very recent, so that'll probably be my next video. Y'all stay tuned. I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.